Movie Zone.
Raise up those that love you and seek you and trust you. Lord, we need a generation of believers.
Who is Hannah Scott?
I am created by God. He designed me. So I'm not a mistake.
I can see you winning. I can see you winning. Do it, Hannah. Do it, my daughter. Do it, Hannah. Go! Fight, Hannah!
Very, very sincere apologies, our viewers. We had a technical hitch. I'm hoping that now the technical team, which has been working very hard, is able to have resolved it, and we can go on with our show, The Ballot 2026. By the way, this is not to say that the ballot will have any hitches. We hope not. And I had earlier introduced Dr. Daniel Rugarama, whose microphone was on, I'm told, and he said even in heaven he will reach there before all of us. But Dr. Daniel Rugarama, you had already said hello to our viewers. I hope they were able to pick you. It was Faridah Lule, whom I was asking what the Ushahidi Foundation is all about, but also the campaign Kura Yangu, Ni Sauti Yangu. Some of us are not very competent in Swahili, and really to tell us what she's doing in our election processes. Faridah.
Yeah, thank you and good evening to our viewers. Faridah Lule, the team lead at Ushahidi Foundation Uganda. Ushahidi means witness to our viewers, and Ushahidi is going to do a lot in this election. It has actually done a lot already, but it will not give up. We are still doing a lot to ensure that we have integrity in the electoral process. So that is our mission, to see that everyone is happy with the process at the end of the day, because it is the process for Ugandans, so we should be happy about the process, we should be involved in the process. So when you see that everyone is complaining about the process, there is a problem. So we are here to see that we sort some of those complaints and address them in our program. Our program is all about, we have election observation, and also we have voter education, and we have included livelihoods, because we realize that with livelihoods, we realize that the voters are being manipulated by these politicians with their 500. So if we empower the voters, they'll be able to stand and actually respect their voice, which is kura yangu ni sauti yangu, akalulu kange ni dubozi lyange, and it's my vote, my voice. So we want the voters to feel happy and feel that they belong somewhere, and they have a voice to make to the democracy and to the leadership of this country. So that's why that is all that Ushahidi is all about. And we do a lot of voter education, voter sensitization, to make sure that someone goes to make a decision with an informed mind. Someone does not take advantage of that. So if we are there to make sure that we are sensitizing everyone, all the issues, we knock on them such that people get to understand the details and the nitty-gritties of the process.
Okay, so Dr. Rugarama, the Ushahidi, witness, some people say they are witnessing an increase in the political groups that are positioning themselves to play a role in the ballot of 2026. DF, PFF, and all FDC, and all the other groups. But also, they are groupings around constituencies, in that there are different people standing, a very high number of independent candidates across parties and groups. And some people say we are witnessing a growth and a deepening of democracy. Would you share this as somebody who has been observing but also participating in electoral processes?
My answer really is no. At the risk of diverting this debate and probably even complicating it, permit me say the following.
Is this because you are a PhD man?
That the concept of electoral democracy is foreign to us. We can the entire African continent and elsewhere where colonialism took place. We can pretend that since direct colonial rule left averagely on the African continent about 60 years ago, we have been undergoing constitutional reforms and other manner of legislation. And that through that, we have adopted our own unique democracy. I disagree. The truth of the matter is that the framework and the architecture of our democracy, and in particular the electoral democracy, is nothing but a replica and a child of the Eurocentric democracy. The democracy which we profess here is as written and as commended by mainly the former colonial, direct colonial powers. When you say former, you create an impression that they left. They never left. They are still here, and in a very probably more pernicious way. What my sister at Ushaidi is doing is to preside over, as an observer, is to preside over an exercise just as an observer. I'm glad that she has got an input now of civic education, I want to believe. Probably that one is a differentiating factor, and that's very good. But what do I mean now? What I mean is that when you look at the growth in the number of political parties since the NRM leadership agreed and they said, let's allow, because it is not the first time that the political parties have been admitted and they exercise what you would call their right to participate in politics in Uganda. No. Only that when NRM came into power, there was some kind of suspension of other political parties, because UPC was here, and right from when we took the colonial master went away, we can talk about the leadership of UPC and the so-called rigging of DP. That history I don't want to go into. What I'm saying is that since the NRM came, we were used for a good number of years to individual merit. But now with the introduction of reintroduction of the multi-party politics, we had not seen so many of the political parties, save for the old political parties, DP, UPC, etc., etc. But now we have seen the Rusania, we have seen, what is this other political party of...
I don't know the political party called Rusania, but maybe...
Common Party.
The Common Man's Party. When actually you talk about the Common Man's Party, some people may not understand who represents, but with the Rusania, they understand the Rusania better, and they know that is Mubarak Munyagwa. Okay. Then there is Muhammad Nseriko's political party, then there is DF, that one I think of Matthias Mpuga, then quite a number came up, then the PFF, you know, which is the breakaway from the FDC. So in other words, if we were to quantify the quality of democracy against the number of political parties, then we can as well argue that in a country like Democratic Republic of Congo, where we have got a population of roughly 100 million people, out of that, we probably have the voting population of something like, are they even 40? Around 40 million people, around. I stand to be corrected. Now, when you look at the nature of democracy, and even that democracy which right from the start, I said even if we pushed it in the frame of the definition that was given by Socrates, that the democracy is made the rule of the people, by the people, for the people. Because at the end of the day, we come and ask the question, who then are the people? It's a very important question. Who are the people there? So I do not believe, therefore, Comrade Baguma, that the growth in the number of political parties is an indication of the growth in electoral democracy, or democracy for that matter at all. It can be a component. We can argue around it, looking at what has been achieved through it, but at the end of the day, the wananchi, the common man, is interested in service delivery. Can we therefore conversely argue that a country like United States of America, which has got prominently two political parties, not that I'm oblivious of the fact that they also have parties like the Green Party, but you'll never hear it. You'll never hear it on CNN. All these big media houses will only be talking about the Republicans and the Democrats. That averagely, employing the principle of a bystander, if you ask anybody on the streets of Kampala how many political parties are in the United States of America, they will definitely tell you, of course, it is Democrat and Republican, whereas not. So at the end of the day, therefore, how many political parties are in China? But what is the quality of life in China? How many political parties are in Sweden? What is the quality of life in Sweden?
So our democracy is not growing.
Our democracy may be growing, but it is not growing because we have got increased number of political parties. We must interrogate the intentions, the objectives, the inner objectives, which are not necessarily expressed on paper in their constitution, of the formation and operation of the political parties in a country like Uganda.
Okay, yeah, so probably we are going to go to that now that you say we must do that. But before we do that, you see, Faridah Lule, you talked about a very interesting thing, livelihoods for the voters as part of the things that you focus on. Some of the people, if I go into Dr. Rugarama's, where he was headed, interrogating, some of the people say that formation of these groups is really not about deepening democracy, or because we are becoming more democratic, because we have grown in democratic credentials, is that it's about around Lusania. It's about the immediate gains, pecuniary, but also others that people will gain. Do you really share that? Isn't that being negative as a description of our growing and many groups?
Exactly, you're right. People, first of all, I would say most of them are being selfish. Two, they're actually looking at the national cake. How can I be part of? How can I access the national cake? Where is it? How can I place myself to access it? So, why I say that, it's because you see, some people have shifted from one political party to another to form other political parties, not because they think that they are going to deliver more in those new political parties or they will make a difference of what is happening. So you would see that they are struggling to make ends meet and also make sense of people believing what they are in the path they have taken, that it is real and it's going to add something to our democracy. Yet it is not. We have had a lot of experience in that. Instead, I would prefer seeing people supporting these old parties, and then we feel, but we are not feeling the old parties themselves, that they are making a difference to this country in democracy. So if it is fighting for positions, they're all fighting for positions. If conducting internal elections, we are seeing there's unfairness in all those parties in conducting internal elections. So before you move to a new agenda, what are you doing? What was your contribution in these political parties? How can you convince us that if you form a new political party, you are going to make something new, that's something different? So I think Ugandans should not be abused. People should not abuse this idea of forming political parties. For example, I see one of the normal candidates, is it Mabike moving from here to here. I see the Segoners also moving from here to here. I'm seeing Matthias also moving from here up to here. So if you show Ugandans that you cannot actually stay, you cannot stay in one position or in one political party, to make sure that you back that political party, you build that political party, because each and every organization has challenges. So if you think that you cannot stand with those challenges, then you are not going to manage, because where you are going, it's also going to be the same. Meaning there is nothing that you are going to add to the democracy of this country. There is nothing you are adding to the economy of this country apart from diversion.
Okay. Now,
but was just.
I have another.
What do you want him to do?
I have another guest. That's another version now. I have another guest, Charles Odongtho. Charles Odongtho is a lawyer, he's a journalist, he's a political observer, and he has occupied a seat like I'm occupying for quite a while.
He's a hustler.
In other platforms. And he would like to associate himself with the lower cadre. I don't know economically whether he can fit there, but that's another that's another discussion. Charles, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. You've listened to these colleagues of yours on the show, but some may find their analysis unfair. People have a legal right, a political right, an associating right. They also have a right to make a buffet and choose from that menu, political menu. And some of the people who are observing and assessing are saying that having all these many political groupings and parties, we really are responding to deepening democracy.
Thank you, Richard, and apologize again for coming late. I noticed this evening that Kampala is a what do we call it? It's just a workshop. Kampala has become a workshop. You turn to the left to this road, you find the road is being done. You turn to the other side, the waterways are being repaired, and then they stop you here. Then so I got stuck around Kamwacha and between Kamwacha and Wandegea, and for almost 15 minutes, but I apologize. That's a sign of growth.
Mm-hmm.
And,
like democracy.
Yes, mm-hmm. And like democracy. I'll apologize again, I have some little cold, so if I don't sound original, I beg to be forgiven. To the point, I came and found Ndogo Rugarama tackling the matter, and of course Faridah. Good to see them, and in good health. Now, to the topic under discussion, I think you Faridah especially is being unfair to the actors and to say that they are accusing them of hopping up and down.
That they are political hoppers.
Yes, I think that's exactly how it is to be healthy. And if I'm controversial, then you should understand why. Because I don't hold a specific view, a definite view that parties should be few or should be small in number. I think the question is extremely relative to the extent of once you know why the parties exist. I think that is where we should start from. If you want to ask, is the growing number or the large numbers of political parties in Uganda a sign of democracy? I will say no. It's not definitely a sign of democracy, but it's healthy. Healthy, why? Because starting from the first point, I think the first point should be what are political parties and why are political parties formed? My analogy of political parties is, and I compare it to religion. You know, I look at political parties like religion. You know, us who believe that there is life after this one. I don't know whether my senior brother here does so.
No, I am being careful for him not to respond because it will divert
he should not.
It will despond.
He should not. But us who believe that there is life after here, think that whichever path you use, whichever vehicle, we call them religion, whichever faith, if you can use a panya route, but it leads you to there, heaven, then you are home and dry. If you're going to use a bicycle for going to heaven, if it was possible, why not use it? And not a border or not a limousine. You see what I mean? Therefore, they are vehicles of going to the promised land. Same with the multi-parties. Any ideal multi-partist or political actor in this case joins either NRM, and I'm saying ideal deliberately, NRM or FDC or NOP or Ecological Party. Do you know the owner of Ecological Party? No, I was asking the host.
Okay.
But you have stolen.
No.
You see,
I can understand you still have the hangover of being the moderator. So I will forgive you for that.
I'm not going to. So you join any of those multiplicity of parties in order to get power and use power to serve the society that you want to better. Okay? And if that is the principle, then it is okay. That's why I'm saying my sister Faridah is being unfair. If Mpuga or Segona believe that leaving DP, leaving Subi, leaving NOP, and now starting the Democratic Forum, that will lead them to get power, which they will then use, because that is not in itself, having a party is not in itself the end. That is just a beginning process or stage to which will take you to the next step. And I will, for example, in the UK, the last time I checked, I think last year, Northern Ireland and the UK itself had over 300 parties. Libertarian Party, Green Party, whatever they are, Conservative, all name them. But we only know of two. And they have been in power, I don't know.
They keep alternating.
Yes, they're the two.
Between Labour and Conservative.
The Conservative and Labour Party. Those are the two.
Very dissociative.
Same with US. US, there is Libertarian Party, there is Green Party, there is White Party, but we know two. Democratic Party and Republican. And for years, I don't even know whether the others have ever taken power. Over coming to 300 years of tested democracy. Not China has one. China is a one-party state, isn't it? Party is a one-party state. I mean, China, the Communist Party. But there are others that exist. But I don't think they exist. I don't think their intention is even to take power. I think it is the typical one of my sister Faridah to get resources. But also, let me be the critique. Even the intention of having a party to access resources by other means is not a crime. Because we live and struggle for exactly that. The struggle for resources in order to then place it accordingly. Because if you cannot access resources, then you cannot, all this struggle you see, Bobby Wine, Yoweri Museveni, Muntu, Nandala Mafabi, all these struggles are about access to and hold of resources in order then to use it to do what your intentions are.
But they say they are there to serve.
No. You see, there is something we call semantics. and then the Bazungu say, the devil is in the detail. Forget about the semantics. The devil is in the detail. They are lying when they say to serve. They want to access resources. But here, Richard, just a minute. The most important thing for me that should matter is the quality of democracy, the quality of governance, the quality of accountability, healthy competition, because otherwise, I have remembered an interesting discussion when you are having a discussion with Mao and you ask him about parties, the chairman Mao, the one of Gulu, not the other one of China. There is something that comes to my mind that I like to say, that we should not have, he calls it swelling, that becomes unhealthy. If what we have in Uganda is only the swelling of political parties, they are now at 150, they are now 50, and you think that that is the end in itself, then we are making a mistake. What we should look at is the quality of service, the quality of democracy that all those parties contribute to. If there is healthy competition that they contribute to, and make people participate, because democracy, in a democracy, a good democracy, you must have healthy competition and participation.
Charles, you see, the principle, from what you say, of democracy is open participation.
Yes.
The increase in the number of entities participating,
or the swelling.
or the swelling, it should be therefore a sign that open competition is happening.
Not necessarily.
Which is democracy. You know, this, in my view, attempt for all of you to negate this people's ability to exercise themselves and group and associate the way they want. I think you guys are not being Democrats at all. You are anti-democratic. You sound like communist party operatives.
No, Charles,
Rugarama, really?
Charles, I will agree with Charles to the extent that he's questioning the quality of democracy that is dispensed by the multiplicity of the political parties which are increasing.
Yeah, but how does increase compromise quality?
Just a minute.
Yes.
We are even saying that was the quality of democracy. Because we see we are initially having a problem with the definition, democracy itself. I have already hinged myself by telling myself and the audience that, look, we have got borrowed democracy and we routinely test the electoral democracy against the tenets set and supervised by that person who set this electoral democracy.
So
the pretense
that is a given. That is a given. Rugarama, that is a given.
Okay.
You have already delivered that point. The audience and myself have had it. Unless you want to redeliver it.
I want to make,
I am saying
yes,
that with that context, with that argument that this is foreign, this is not ours, how does having therefore a multiplicity compromise that what we have? Because we already have it. It is here, whether it's ours or not.
We have not said we should not have them, and that the multiplicity, the increasing numbers, compromises. We are only saying,
yes,
if it does not increase or better the quality of democracy, then it is just swelling, which is actually sickness.
When we were having NRM,
yes,
when we were having
the monopoly of NRM
as a single government,
as a communist as a communist lookalike,
was the quality of democracy
any better?
Was qualitatively and quantitatively.
Was it any better?
This is what we are saying. We are not saying that we should not have a growing number of political parties. The nature of the political system that we have now is multi-party system. We appreciate the growth.
And therefore we are having many.
Yes, we appreciate the growth of political parties. We are only critiquing the quality of democracy that is being dispensed. And we are arguing, therefore, that it is not necessarily true that the growth of the increased numbers of political parties is necessarily a reflection of the growth of democracy. That's our argument.
Okay. Thank you very much. Point taken. Faridah, in fact, what you people are also trying to do, in my view, is that you are even trying to kunafuya. You are trying even to weaken the little that is being gained here. By describing these as eating, what is Rusania is where you power food. That the people who are making these parties are only looking for positions. But really, if you are standing, if you are a candidate for a position, so what are you looking for? That's what this politics is about. Not survival. People are looking for positions. That's what they are looking for. If you are a presidential candidate, you are looking for the position of president. If you are a parliamentary candidate, you are looking for the position of parliament. That's what this is what it's about. So if people make groups that will be vehicles to deliver them to that, why are the three of you, Farid, why are the three of you kunafia? Why are you making this look bad?
No, we are not saying, by the way, I had a chance to observe elections in Nairobi at one point, and I looked at the two parties. I looked at the political parties' performance and also the civil society organizations. How are they organized in preparation for the democratic governance in Kenya? And when we visited, even the smallest party in Kenya, it had a representative. It had a voice. They are really organized that you cannot actually, even the bigger parties, cannot underestimate them because they have managed to strategize and actually make themselves important to the electoral process of Kenya. When you look at the civil society organizations, they are so active that the country at some point cannot make decisions without the input of civil society organizations. But look at our country. They can actually do anything. They can pass a law without even consulting us because they think that you cannot make any point in their discussions. But in Kenya, if they're to discuss the constitution, I'm telling you the civil society organizations in Kenya will line up a very good team to make sure that they influence the agenda or the matters that are discussed in the parliament or in that direction. Likewise, the political parties. Here, our political parties are busy fighting each other. I would like to see, and I would love to see CP, JEMA, or the DF strategizing and saying, for us, when it comes to agriculture, we are the experts. And if the country is discussing issues to do agriculture, they will consult CP or JEMA. If they are talking about education, matters to do with education, JEMA has done extensively, I am just saying, giving an example, has done extensive research, has gotten the doctors, the Dr. Daniel on board, people who can actually speak, and the government will say, yes, wait a minute, JEMA has a point. We cannot go ahead without consulting JEMA. If they reach that level, I do not have any problem with having several parties, as long as they can make an input to the grown democracy of Uganda. But we are seeing that they are just leaping. They begin to address political parties. Look at what UPC is doing right now. They are saying, whether you like it or not, we are going to be on a ballot paper. How? Because you are hoodwinking Ugandans. Because right now you cannot say the process can take it. Just give us how you are going to do it. But a head of a political party goes on a national TV and says, whether you like it or not, I am going to be on a political party, on a ballot paper. When we all know that the issues, that the process of want to be on a ballot paper has closed, that door has closed. So why do you actually lie to the country? So even other political parties are also doing the same. We are going to do this, we are going... No, you can do something small in a small way and make an impact. And the country will feel you. The country has felt Faridah, not because I have money. The country has felt Faridah, not because I am driving an expensive car, but because I am trying my small effort to put a voice on voter education. And I'm here, it is coming to 10 and coming to 11. I am a lady, but I have sacrificed. So I think that the parties can also sacrifice, despite the fact that the environment is not good for them. But for me to call you a man in the house, you should show me. So now even political parties should come out and say, okay, yes, despite all this, we are wise enough to make sure that we can actually do something. I like the late Laila Odinga. When he went into an election, everyone knew that the government is there. And they have all the machinery, but he went, he contested. At the end of the day, the election was cancelled because he had evidence to show to court, real evidence to actually convince the court that actually this someone tampered with this election. Therefore, we can actually go ahead and have another election. It was as expensive as, I don't know, but at least court decided and they went. But because Raila stood and went well equipped, like you're going for a war. When you're going for a war, you know that you do not even know how your opponent is actually strong enough, but you have to equip yourself that, you know, I need this machine gun, I need this machine gun. So do those political parties go into an election or into democracy with what?
All right. If I was one of the groupings leaders watching, I think I would be wondering why these panelists are against me. I thought that contributing to the democratic process would be a good thing. But we are going to examine the things.
Worse. What is worse is this one, Ndugu Richard. I will recommend, as we move forward, that actually Africa, we need to pass a resolution at the African Union to dismantle political parties on the African continent. We need an outright dictatorship that is a benevolent, looks into the interests of the people, what we are having now in the Sahel region, whereby we systematically dismantle the structures of colonialism and we move steadfast on addressing the critical issues that is affecting Africa as a continent.
I think now on that dictatorial note from Dr. Rugarama, I am going to say time is dictating that we take a break. and dear viewer, don't go away. Because when we come back, we are going to delve a little bit wider, like my panelists have been saying. Okay, so if we have all these political groupings, that some of us argue that it is a deepening of democracy. The panelists say no, in unison, that it's not. Then why are we participating in multi-party electoral democracy at all? Why are these groupings forming? And what should be done? Should we go the dismantling and the benevolent dictatorship? What does that even mean? So don't go away when we come back. These are some of the issues that we will be delving into and see if we can agree on the way forward for Africa, but for Uganda as we prepare for the ballot 2026. Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us. It's Family TV, the Church of Uganda Television, and it's the Ballot 2026, the program that comes your way between 9 and 11 p.m. every Wednesday. Baguma Tinkasimere Richard, who is your host, thank you for staying with us. And in studio, Charles Odongtho, political observer, journalist, lawyer. Dr. Daniel Rugarama, Pan-Africanist, is an elections expert. He has worked with elections. He has been in electoral office himself. And Faridah Lule. Faridah Lule is with the Ushahidi Foundation, is trying to make sure that the voters are knowledgeable about voting processes. Is also thinking about their livelihoods and what can be done. He is my panel. And before we went for the break, I was having difficulty with the three of my panelists who insist that the increasing number of political groups that are participating in the electoral process, and we encourage people to participate in the electoral processes actively. We encourage people to take their patriotic duty and make sure they go, support the candidates that they have. And they are saying, no, because these numbers have increased, it does not in any way indicate a deepening of democracy. And they were giving many examples from elsewhere. I mean, in many countries, there are many groups. We talked about Kenya, and somebody says, oh, they have up to 90 groups. We are talking about very many things. So, Faridah first. So, if indeed these many political groups that are forming are then not about deepening democracy, if they are not about making democracy better quality, then why do they form at all? What do you think that these people who form them, who promote them, who invest in them, what do they want? What are they looking for?
Like I said before, it is because of accessing resources, and also unemployment has increased in Uganda, and people have stopped thinking of the better way other than being a part of the political game. So they think that if I form a party, I am going to have maybe one representative, or and then get some money from iPod because I have a representative in Parliament. Some might think that if I have a voice, maybe the media will be on me, and then I'll make sense, and then that somehow they will see that I have a position, or I have something to contribute. So, but it's all about how survival. In Uganda, we've not seen organizations of political parties that are actually performing to the expectation of the citizens to the maximum. Because if you are playing games and you for example, FDC, you come up and say, okay, we are going to do this and this, but are the Ugandans feeling your program? Are the Ugandans feeling your ideology? Even if you are 2-3 years in the field, have they felt you? So if they have not felt you, then you have a problem. And then that is how I conclude, though Charles is not believing me, that they have their selfish interest, and also they want to have access to the national cake. I want to take through the Ugandans on what actually we are heading to. And I made some calculations when I was here. Each poll, we have 8 presidential candidates. And the 8 presidential candidates, each one, according to the law, you have to have 2 agents. So in other words, we are looking at 16 agents per polling station. How many polling stations do we have as a country? We have 50,739 polling stations. So if you multiply 16 times 50, because each polling station should have 16 of the agents.
Yes, representing
the 8 presidential candidates.
Yes.
So now we have that. So in total, we shall have 167 in all polling stations. Yes, 1,000. So we apart from those 216, you are going to add MPs, representatives. So also are entitled to 2 agents. They're entitled to 2.
And in some constituencies, there are more than 10.
Exactly. So if we are going to have all political parties have the capacity to have political agents, to have their agents at all these 50,000 polling stations, my God, we'll end up having 8,491,616 agents only.
So half the population will
Half
be,
the
half
population.
the voting population will be agents.
So, and when it comes
That's
to
deepening democracy.
Exactly.
We are increasing participation.
So if we are, I would be very happy. That is what I'm saying. I would be very happy if I see that all political parties have representatives of this magnitude to a polling station. That means I am sure that these 8 million are automatically going to vote. And the voter turnout will actually be good. But when it comes to reality, you'd see that even in the central here, the political parties, the big political parties, would not even have representatives at each and every polling station in the central region alone. Up to now, there is no single party apart from NRM that has representatives at all polling stations. Even that small initiative. That is why at the end of the day, we are even seeing unopposed candidates. We are going into an election and we are not yet on a polling day, but we already have a big number of unopposed. What does that speak? Maybe one, Dr. Daniel, who was once a returning officer in one of the districts, will be able to give us more and tell us about that. So I'm only speaking about the MPs now. Now even the district woman representative also should have, ideally should have 2 agents. So already the polling station is congested. But I'm not worried why it should be congested. I want to see it. Maybe I'll say now we are moving to a good maybe initiative of realizing democracy. That we even now in the law we anticipated it's not going to be like that. What is the effect of having all these people at the polling station? Because the minus the political the election officers who are actually approximately to 8 or 7, 7, 8 seats. It depends. So, but at least it can't go below 6. So now you have 8 or 6 election officers at a polling station. You have observers also at a polling station. So now, if we begin that conversation, we will now say, no, let's revise the law, and we at least make provision for 1 agent per polling station. What was the impact? Maybe the impact was good, that all these people who are at that polling station voted. So meaning our effort of increasing the voter turnout has increased and we have achieved it. So, and if it has not, if they have not voted, why? What is the challenge with it? So we review our laws to make provision for us to have a modest strategy for it.
Charles.
Yes.
You guys are saying, for us who believe that the more the merrier, we have a problem. That's not true. But you see, so if I do not agree with the philosophy, with the ideology, or even the approach of a political group, I should go and make one where I am with my colleagues who we agree on a philosophy or an ideology or even an approach to governance. And I think that's why what is happening with all these groupings, some whether they have presidential candidates or not, but this is a congregation of willing political players, and they have different approaches, different thinkings, and so they come together, they congregate and say we are now a political group. You are saying that they are not forming for that. If they are not forming for that, in your view, therefore, what are they forming for?
I hold the view that the model of political groupings that we follow in Uganda is not development oriented.
Why?
Because I think they are more personal in nature, and I would want to just to agree with Doctor briefly where I agree with him
Oh, I was
is
going
to
to say
the
on-
extent.
Okay, I was going to say on dismantling things.
No, not total, not on the total dismantling, but on dismantling the approach that we have in Uganda. I have fallen in love with the approach in Kenya, because if you look carefully, Kenya is running away from us in terms of the democracy, the quality of democracy, in terms of development, in terms of the better quality of life, the better, and make no mistake, they have their own rot in the corners,
Serious
especially very serious ones, as far as issues of especially ethnicity is concerned, but who does not have it. Ugandans, only that Ugandans are very good at pretending. Kenyans don't pretend a lot. We have very, very deeply rooted ethnic, divisions and ethnic things to do with, things like even ethnic orientation and organization and ethnic love and all that. It's why IALA, the East African community, is not taking root. I support the East African community and I support President Museveni for pushing for that. But one of the things in my view that makes it hard to be achieved is because we are deeply, deeply ethnicized, and you cannot sell, for example, aspects of East African community growth or achievement like language in Buganda, because Baganda believe that we should be Baganda. You understand? Not that we should not love our ethnic groups, but because they think that that is better than uniting at East African level. So, but that is an aside. Now, for me, I think that why I was saying that our approach is parochial and needs to be dismantled is because when you look at formations and reasons why they come up of parties, it is meant to gain power, access resources, and develop. But for us, we think that if I am NOP and I am seen with someone from NRM, then I am a traitor and I deserve to be thrown out, and that's what is happening to NOP, if you see carefully. These last formations going on, which is leading to Mpuga, to Segona running away, and a number of others, just because of the feeling that, we must be here. And that is more important than thinking about the national access to the national resources. So for me, I think that if we reach a level, when you look at what happens in Kenya, today you are in KANU, tomorrow you are in ODM, the next day you are in another party, and it doesn't matter. What matters for Ruto is I must access power. What matters for the late Raila Odinga is that I must access power or authority, and then, like Galileo said, was it Galileo who said that give me the lever and I will move the world? You understand? Because without that lever, you cannot move anything. You will not develop. Your aspirations will not be pursued the way you want them, because you have not accessed power. Honorable Besigye has not accessed power up to now. But there are many followers of FDC, the former one. reform agenda, who believed so much in him that he had good ideas. But because he insists that there is nothing to discuss, right or wrong, he cannot access power. But Raila believes, contrary to what our line here is, that for me, I think power is what will get me what I want to do. My aspirations will only be implemented when I get power. So he does not have a problem allying with Moi in order to do what he does not have a problem with saying Kibaki Tosha and allying with someone he had disagreed with. He does not have a problem allying with Uhuru after Uhuru has even tortured him, or even with the rest of the players. So for me, I think that Ugandans or Ugandan political actors will start maturing when we start going in that direction. If today, because go back to what I said, the analogy I used, these political parties are only a vehicle. If I leave Kampala and I'm going to my home in Nebi, I will, if I live in my personal car, let's say it is a Vitz, if I reach Mijera and it has broken down, I should not hang on to it. If I'm supposed to be in Nebi for a meeting and the bus comes, I should jump on the bus. I should be free to jump on the bus. Or if Richard Baguma finds me and says, hey, man, I'm going to Arua. Can I drop you in Nebi? Richard is driving a Lexus. I should be able to jump onto his Lexus. And not to say, hey, that is Richard. I cannot enter Richard's car. Because
but you may have
it
good
is
reason.
a vehicle. It is a vehicle. Tackle the issue. If you have the reason, tackle that reason. Talk and say, hey, Richard, you're going to Arua, you have space, but I don't trust your driving. Can you drive? Can you let the other guy next to you drive, Richard, so that we reach safely? Because I know you. I cannot trust you with driving on a highway. You drink a lot. Talk. Man up to the issue, but ensure that your goal at the end of it is arrived at.
But Charles, I will go to Daniel. You see, Daniel in fact thinks that we are wasting a lot of time with what he calls imposed democracy. But I think that Daniel is becoming fascist. that stand is very
that is the new description of Trump by Mamdani.
Neoliberalism, what does it help me? Because you see, at the end of the day, Comrade Baguma, I even don't know, by the way, why you brought this topic and at what level you wanted us to discuss it.
Let me first explain. You see.
You mean he's a dictator?
He's provoking us. this topic is, if you want us to please the imperialist by debating the way this NGO word, with no pun intended, this NGO word debate is not for me. That's why I tell you that Africa does not need these political parties. The political party dispensation is not our organic democracy. China, he talked about China. He found when I had just mentioned something about it. The nature of democracy in China. Singapore didn't, even when you read from third word, first word by Lee Kuan Yew, you realize that it was a typical dictatorship. See where they are now. So these type of democracies we are talking about,
they stopped, they ended it.
You see, then we need Africa, we need that. Look, I will tell you, When Chakwera, that Malawi, came into power,
The
World Bank,
Malawian president.
yes, World Bank, IMF started praising him. They even made the economic figures of Malawi jump, just to show the rest of the African countries that you need this breed of leadership who are right in the hands of imperialists, that the World Bank and IMF can praise them, including my own rather likable character in Zambia, Hickman.
But they praised us for a long time too.
Yeah, exactly. When you look at ourselves here, you go to Botswana. Botswana was in good books with the United States of America for a very long time, to the extent that a native from Botswana, a citizen of Botswana, didn't need a visa to go to America. Now, with the new president, when he started questioning them about the military base in Botswana, and said, we don't need this, because anytime you can harm our neighbors or even ourselves, he's now being written off, not as a blue-eyed boy. So at the end of the day, for me, my contention is, if we must step up this debate, the nature of democracy, and at the risk of sounding very controversial, the nature of democracy we have in Africa is a risk for underdevelopment, and it is purposed. The imperialist has packaged this nature of democracy, which he continuously supervises, that after 5 years, the European Union, you can imagine even the European Union, which formerly had a dictator called Britain, which was a colonialist, a big colonialist country. They couldn't even fit within the European Union. When they faced the pressure from Germany and Italy and France, they said, no, for us, we need to jump. They jumped out, you can imagine.
But you see,
so at the end of the day,
that's the nature of democracy, Rugarama.
It's not even democracy.
Because you see, Rugarama, if you
want to tell me because they voted.
Because, yeah, absolutely.
That they voted and they agreed. No, I will tell you, they were running away from reality. The reality was, Britain was a smaller economy. They were against now bigger economies like Germany and France, and they didn't want to be seen being dictated over. They have a lame person called Greece. Greece is even worse than many African countries. So let's talk about but they are keeping them there.
So let's talk about reality.
The reality
this is the reality. No, let me tell you the reality that I'm talking about. Is the reality of where we are.
Where are we?
In Uganda.
Hey, where we have been put.
That's where we are.
Yes.
Whether we are put there or we put ourselves there. That is where we are.
When I am where I am, not that I have walked myself there, but I have been put there and I'm being guarded there.
Is that reality?
Under the tenets of the so-called global democracy.
So is that
defined by
reality?
Somebody outside is not necessarily reality that I must accept.
No, we are not talking about acceptance. We are talking about reality.
Okay, this is where we are. So are we supposed to keep quiet about it?
No. Yes. We are talking about it. The reality where we are is that we have an election coming up. That's our reality.
We have always had these elections, even after 5 years, and it is even worse for us on the African continent. Comrade Baguma,
allow me to moderate this show, because I know you are proposing that we promote dictatorship. Okay, but let's not promote.
But it's even not a dictator. America or Britain.
But let's not promote it on the show. Let's allow the show not to be dictatorial. You see, our reality is we have an election coming up. Dr. Daniel Rugarama, before me, is the head of one of the leagues participating in this election. That's our reality. He supports one or two groups. I believe so, really, that he is not there. And he's so angry that he's not participating.
I'm not a neutral man.
But he's just so detached. All of us, I really believe that we are a very responsible group. We are going to vote, whether we want this or not. So we have an election coming. We have groups, political groups. They have increased. This is the reality we are in. And so if we are talking about reality, I think we also must be realistic and therefore discuss these things, whether we like them or not. That is where we are. So therefore, in that reality, Rugarama, I don't want to leave you before I come to Faridah. In that reality, therefore, Rugarama, are the people participating in this election? Are the people forming all these political groups? Are the people breaking away and belonging to where they want to belong? Are they doing the wrong thing?
No. And maybe God help me, I be quick on this. You see, it is, I asked you from the start that at what level did you want us to debate this topic? Now, and I also
at
made
the level of reality.
I made at the level of reality is where I was going, because we must debate this topic beyond just ritual elections. These elections of ours, even after 5 years, then the observers, then the education, voter education, which we inadequately do, civic education, zero, is no civic education, is nothing that can bring me from my humble dwelling at night to be in these marvelous studios and start deceiving the general public. I want to give the general public a picture such that after 100 years, when this video is replayed to the great grandchildren of mine and others, they will say, I think this man had the right observation of the whole political architecture.
Which is
now what I'm saying.
Benevolence
dictatorship is the way to go, at the risk of being stoned by those who have been hoodwinked by an imperialist. The truth of the matter is that I'm not just going to debate DF, PFF, and I stop it at that. Because let me tell you, the people, for instance, of Libya, somebody will tell me Gaddafi was a dictator. Jesus. Okay, fine. But at what level was the citizens of Libya? How were they faring? Because at the end of the day, politics.
You are really succeeding in taking us away from the Ballot 2026, which is the focus of this program entirely and today's show.
Ballot 2026 is like this. Ballot 2026, I'm even not diverting away from it, by the way. I'm simply saying that Ballot 2026 is not an end in itself. It should be a means to an end. Unfortunately, because we are talking about vehicles here, I will even propose that we don't even need the VTs, we don't need the Spatials, we don't need the Range Rovers, if we must abandon the vehicle for that matter. Vehicles, motor vehicles, and we use other means to achieve the total independence of African continent, where Uganda is included. We better do that, because at the end of the day, it looks unfortunate. Let me just conclude here. It looks very unfortunate for us to come in these studios, talk to the multitudes. They are there and they appreciate these things probably at a much higher level. And you begin talking about now we have increased participation, political parties have increased, it is an indicator of increased democracy, this is the way we should have gone about maybe 40 years ago. And I don't think that type of debate is for me.
Let me go.
But what is benevolent dictatorship?
No.
Why haven't you people defined it for us so that we first know before we jump into it?
I'm coming to Faridah.
You know?
Faridah.
Why are you leaving it rhetoric?
Faridah, Dr. Daniel Rugarama is saying that we should have dictators, that we should have an African dictator. And in his view, this will be a kind, considerate, that's what benevolent is. Kind, considerate, and well-intentioned individual.
Yes.
You have taken us. You are like the people who say there is some death called mercy killing.
So really, surely, shouldn't we be engaging in democracy? Shouldn't we be allowing people to make choices? If people choose to congregate in a certain congregation, if people choose to politically associate, should we come and condemn them and dismiss them? And we being counter-revolutionary? Aren't we being subversive?
I'm not going to answer that because I might be mistaken. Let Charles answer that.
Because I think surely we should allow people
I'm going to give
exercise their freedom.
I'm going to give that chance to Charles because I know my audience.
You know your audience.
Charles, yes.
It's a very dictatorial audience. Charles,
yes.
Charles, I think we are being subversive and counter-revolutionary. I think we are being...
we are reactionaries.
This is why I was just trying not to use the word.
When we do what?
When we say that the people who choose to congregate, that the people who choose to associate politically, that the people who choose to champion their agenda together, that is wrong.
No, we have not said it is wrong. Never. In fact, anybody who says that we said that has misunderstood our argument from the
Then,
word go.
correct me.
We said these parties should consider the quality of governance, the quality of participation, the quality of multi-party system.
That's what they are doing.
Lead
That's exactly what they are doing.
as the number one consideration, not necessarily looking at the quantity that they should be many.
No, they are not looking at quantity.
No.
They are saying the quality of where I was not good enough. I am now creating a group where I think the quality is best.
That should also, in my view, from the beginning, I said when I was talking about Faridah being unfair, you recall, I said that is also okay because if this vehicle does not deliver or potentially does not deliver what you think it should deliver, move out of it, jump onto another vehicle, hope, if you like to use that word, and ensure that you hope until, by the way, the man who is currently leading us has ever told us that he has also been a hoper.
Yeah, but he's
He has hope
he's not necessarily a
from
paragon of democracy
this one
himself.
to the other and to the other. Why is he successful? Because he does not pretend and hang onto a vehicle. He believes that this DP is not delivering me to where I want to be. I will leave it. This other one is also not delivering me. I will leave it until I get one which I can use to access power, access resources therefore, and do what I want to do. Hence, 40 years this year. Okay? Next year, 40 years in power.
But Charles,
now,
what we are talking about, what you guys are talking about, he has been pointed out to have, first of all, if he's not leading, this is what some, and you read this literature, and you have heard people speak. Many of them who have also been with him. If he's not leading the thing, he will not be part of it. He will fail it. If he gets into position, he doesn't necessarily use it to advance. That's why these others are coming on board. He doesn't use it to advance national interest. He's using it to advance his own interest.
that becomes a healthy argument.
Absolutely.
That is a healthy...
Yeah.
That is a healthy argument.
Holding it for 40 years does not make him a paragon.
And there are some good things that he has done.
In fact,
not many things he has done.
In fact, where
democracy
democracy
works, many
works,
things that he has done.
in fact, where democracy works, they do terms and go away.
Yeah, but the moment I think it was Dr. Daniel who said it at the beginning, I think, that the model that you choose to follow depends on the people. Now, if the people have chosen elective or electoral, as you say, and that their referenda, there are votings, you vote for MPs, you vote for CA delegates, then the CA delegates' functions are well cut out. They are coming to make a new constitution. Then the new constitution will provide for term limits. Then the new constitution will also provide for, how do you change this constitution? Like for us lawyers, we say one of the principles of a constitution is that it is It is a living document. It is the living tree doctrine. That's what we call it. Within the living tree doctrine is that a tree can grow and, you know, nourish and all that. It's, you know, you can change it, you can, and all that. As long as you follow that constitution, that is what the constitution says. It is the one which is supreme. Now, if you follow that, and someone arrives with it at a certain destination, how do you expect me to lambast the person?
And that's democracy.
How?
And that's democracy. And that applies in all fields, including associating.
Oh, yes.
Whether we are associating many.
And we are supporting it. And we are supporting it. The only thing, in both situations, we can ask, Your Excellency, but didn't you manipulate the process? And he will say, but I came to the voters. Even in the one of hoping, we can say, but Honorable Mpuga, my brother, why are you over hoping? Then he will tell you, I want somewhere where I am comfortable. The other side, I tried, but they were anti myself, anti my ideas, but I have better ideas. It is democracy. Association freely expressed. So I don't understand why that should be a problem.
Yeah, and
But do you see what democracy?
From all of you, you are saying that is a problem.
No, far from it.
You are saying that people have associated, because they have associated, they are therefore not doing it right. They are doing it for the wrong reason. In fact, you are judging them, I think, unfairly. Farid.
Yes, because I think, for me, my point was, we did not feel them where they are. We would be actually supporting them. That, no, Honorable Matthias, you are actually right. Because what you are doing here, it was a really very good job, and the country felt it. So whether he would not even say anything, the country will move with him wherever he's going. You see, I still give back an example of Kenya. You see, Raila, when he moved and made a handshake, his supporters did not condemn it.
But
they said he's
Kenya,
doing it
there
for...
are so many groups more than in Uganda.
Yeah, there are so many groups, and they have
an impact. If we follow the example, we should have even more.
It is okay. We can have more, but as long as they have an impact. And I'm not saying that it is bad to have more, as long as we can feel them. That, you know, we have this on agriculture. Yes, this small party, however much it is small, it has a contribution to our country, and it's giving maybe research. It is helping several universities who are actually doing research in agriculture, and we will feel you in your small way that you are making a contribution to this country, and people will follow you and will actually see that you're making a sense. But before that, I want to go back to Dr. Daniel's argument of saying that we need dictators. Which kind of dictators do we want? If we are to go for dictatorship, because they have actually failed to give space to these political parties to perform. So if you have failed to give them space to perform, then that means that if you want to be a dictator, then go for it, because you have the powers to do that. If you have the powers to determine who comes here and who comes unopposed, then that means you have a power to become a dictator. And if you think that being a dictator will actually solve Uganda's problems, then let it be. Because when you look at Libya had a dictator, Muammar Gaddafi, but Libyans were enjoying the free education. They were enjoying, the health sector was performing well. The unemployment was not actually felt. And also, if you are to graduate and go outside the country, when you come back, you're sure of the job. And each and every Libyan had access to the national resource, the national cake. When we go to Rwanda here, you'd see that the public universities, the public schools are actually performing better than the private schools, and he's a dictator. If you see that there is no corruption, if someone is given a road,
does he believe he is?
I don't know whether he believes he's a dictator, but there are also challenges, negative aspects in his mode of leadership. Though we are seeing some good models that we actually would want maybe to have a dictator if the dictator means that. But also when you see that when you go to Rwanda, people are not really ready to express themselves. They are being suffocated. You are not suffocating only their voice, but you are also suffocating their initiative, maybe to be innovative somewhere, because someone fears that if I'm going to innovate maybe a book, what do I need? Maybe someone might misunderstand me. So you're also suffocating other initiatives that actually would add something to your country. So which kind of dictator do we want to have? Dr. Daniel, do we want to have a dictator of Gaddafi? Do we want to have a dictator of Kagame? Do we want to have a dictator like maybe in Britain, because they said also those people are what? Are dictators. So which kind of
dictator? For them, they have graduated.
So
their dictatorship is at the level of institutions.
So is it going to help also to the issue of Ugandans? Instead of us being there that we are going for an election, yet we are not really going to enjoy the election, we are not going to feel that the election can actually add a thing to this country. So for me, I think maybe as a country, we need to go back on the drawing board and see what is the way forward. Do we want to spend these millions in this election? At the end of the day, people come out when they are not satisfied, when they are not even happy with the process. You see people actually in their stores saying, no, I don't have to. But how? Why should we get to that extent? There is a time when I was actually in Kenya, and then I asked these guys, you are not going to observe the election? Why can't you be around the polling station to see what is happening? No, we are happy with our IBC, that we trust our IBC because we put that IBC in place. But they were actually at the end of the day at some point disappointed when the IBC started pulling ropes. This one is making statement at this particular venue, this one is also making. And this is the IBC that they are actually Kenyans put in place. So, there is a lot. But as a country, we have grown. We have great minds. We can actually see. And the president should also tone down and actually know that at least at this age, Ugandans have loved me. They have actually supported me. So how best can I have this country move forward?
Rugarama,
yes,
I will come to you because you talked about the parties. And I go back to America because it's one of the examples which we usually like to bring. That there are two parties which are dominant, but there are other parties which people may not know. And I say that is democracy. If people choose to support the issues as championed by two parties, that's their choice. There are other groups, no one stops them from forming. And no one comes breathing down their necks that is wrong. And that is democracy. Why do we seem like we are against allowing people to make their choices and deal with issues the way they want?
Actually, Comrade Baguma, if I may repeat myself a little bit, the American example is given because they have cut a figure out there as the head boy of democracy in the world. And I like what you are saying, that they shouldn't be breathing it into people's ears. They do that a lot. What happens is that their type of democracy, which they think is the standard measure of global democracy, even when we know it is nothing but institutional dictatorship, which of course because of the great mass media which they have projected to the entire world that it is not. But we are not products of CNN, BBC, Fox News, Sky News. We are far beyond that. So we shall tell them that they are what we know them to be. What happens on the African continent, and in Uganda's case, for instance, is that the growth of these political parties is not going to qualitatively and quantitatively add anything onto the democratic credentials of Uganda, and it is not going to translate into any meaningful development. I gave you the example of DRC, where we have got more than 230 political parties. And if the livelihood of the Congolese has improved because of that, then I stand to be corrected. I will tell you also that these political parties, if they have not been helped to get started by an imperialist, then an imperialist realizing that a certain political party is galvanizing the 1-inch support in shaping an independent but well-studied development path for the people of that particular country, an imperialist will intervene and either sabotage that development, that path, through economic means or outright use of the cabals. Therefore, whether it is DF, whether it is PFF, whether it is NRM, whatever it is here in Uganda, as long as the global arrangement of the economic means is in the hands where it is right now, and you are not organizing your people to challenge that, I can assure you that we shall remain a cursed continent in the eyes of an imperialist. And that way, regardless of how much we debate here, that people have now organized themselves better, political parties have increased, is just nothing but a discussion in futility. The point should be, whether it is a political party, how is the political party organizing the masses? Which direction is the political party organizing the masses, taking them to where? What is their ideological clarity? Look at all the political parties we have on the African continent. Let's just start with that. Save for the leadership that was provided slightly before 1963, when the first independent countries on the African continent. Look at Ghana and Osejefo Kwame Nkrumah. Look at Abdul Gamara Nasser. Look at Ben Bera in Algeria. Look at what was happening with Thomas Sankara. Look at DRC with the emergence of Emer Patrice Lumumba. Look at that breed. Look at Mwalimu Julius Nyerere around that time. Look at that breed. Ask yourself why, slightly thereafter, majority of them were sabotaged. Kwame Nkrumah died in exile. Abdul Gamar, Olympiokos. Why all of them were sabotaged, assassinated, eliminated, and they put stooges who ran the country, their respective countries, back in the hands of the colonialists, of the imperialists this time around. Why did that happen? It happened because Africa, the white man had arranged Africa and other former colonies, save a few which managed to extricate themselves from the shackles of an imperialist. And the same methodology is being applied. That the white man, not all white men anyway, an imperialist who is mainly white, listening and viewing us here in this studio, arguing that the growth of political parties spells increased participation, that therefore is democracy, he would say, now I'm having them. This is the kind of debate he would love.
Okay, so Rugarama, I am going to, because we have to wind up.
Yes.
We have some probably 6 minutes to go or something. First of all, to you, Odongtho. So after all this discussion, we must propose where do we go next. So if increasing these political groupings and parties is not necessarily deepening democracy, what do we do?
I think the first thing that, if it were possible, it is a conditional proposal. My proposal would be, the first thing to do is to sensitize the Ugandan voter. The ordinary Ugandan voter does not know all these nice semantics, the terms that we use, benevolent dictator, a dictator, liberal democracy, electoral democracy, and these are all niceties that are on our studios, in the boardrooms of and amongst the elites that we are, or with some other, with many others. But if the people could know these terms, the first thing in my view that I see the people, ordinary person would do, is to trash all of them, because all of them are, first of all, useless. Why? Because they don't put food on the table. They don't, they don't grow a country. What grows a country?
So we would go teach them. What else would we do? Because
we need
really
to
have
first
to get
of all
here.
teach them that what is the role of government? What is the role of an organization that runs government? It is to lead you and change your lives. Change you, do better, and to make your welfare better. Once they know that, that is what they would vote for. And that is where you can run a risk maybe of agreeing with Daniel. I think to try and read his mind, I don't think he is saying throw away the parties necessarily. What, in my view, is his frustration is that if the political parties do not change the lives, the quality of life of the people, then what is their use?
Thank you very much.
If that is the argument,
yes,
we need to advocate for people to know their rights and vote for people who will change their lives, regardless of whether they hold political, whether they belong to political associations or not. Vote for Richard, even if he's an independent.
Yeah,
vote for Faridah,
I would be happy to
even if she belongs to a party, as long as they have the quality to deliver you to your expectation.
Thank you.
Vote for Charles, who will change your lifestyle and make your welfare better. That's how we shall arrive at a better society. Not necessarily because you have 600 parties like in South Africa.
Faridah.
At some point, I believe in Charles, because we people who are speaking the very expensive English, we actually do not vote, and we have left the matter of voting to the Wananchi, and most of them know little about the impact of just electing a leader. Or without putting into consideration so much of these issues at stake. So the people who understand and they have read actually stay in their bedrooms, they stay in their sitting rooms, and they do not participate in elections. And that's why Dr. Kizza Besigye at one point said that he blamed the elite for actually not participating, and he strongly had a very strong point on it, and I support him, because if the people, these guys in offices, this person on camera, all of us actually participate in the process, maybe we can make a change, maybe we can make a voice, and we can not leave this process to the Wananchi only, since we are sure that these people have failed to make to choose good leaders, maybe from the local levels. So it's high time all of us, if we think that we need this country, we love this country, it's high time people get out of your offices on election day, go and cast a vote. Go and cast a vote, because you complaining on your social media, on your WhatsApp, on Twitter, it will not actually solve a problem. it will still add a problem on a problem, and yet you can actually solve a problem. Thank you.
Let the people, let the voters vote for anybody.
Let me hope that Daniel will
agree change their life
to democratically use less than 2 minutes.
Absolutely. Comrade Baguma and our esteemed viewers, I'm very pleased that this topic has come up, and I want to conclude by saying that we should start a conversation, and this conversation should be around how to dismantle these useless vehicles which an imperialist has facilitated, oiled, for purposes of keeping us politically captive, such that he can deceive the entire African and other people's way of looking at issues. We keep in a net whereby when by the time we raise up our heads, we have been totally captured and made inept. We need to start thinking outside the box. Does the so-called political, multi-party political dispensation type of democracy and its sister routine 5-year electoral democracy necessarily deliver dividends to the wananchi, such as the delivery of services? My answer is no.
Okay. Very interesting talk this round. That no, the increasing number of political groupings is not in any way deepening democracy. I had unanimity from my panelists, and conclusively that we need to start discussing about the new dispensation of governance, perhaps for this continent. On that note, I will leave the audience to keep, going through these thoughts, and hopefully we shall have an additional topic on this. But I would like to thank you very much, my panelists, for being here. Charles Odongtho, thank you very much for coming. Dr. Daniel Rugarama,
it's my pleasure.
You so much. And Faridah Lule, thank you so much for being here at night, but also for the work that you are doing to try and raise the consciousness of the voters, because we still insist on the ballot 2026 and Family TV that you go and vote. It is your duty, it is your responsibility to determine how you are governed. Whether it is not useful or not at this time, this is how you're going to be governed for the next 5 years or beyond. So please go determine how you're going to be governed by using that vote. Baguma Tinkasimira, Richard from studio, and all the entire crew that was handling the production of this program, we thank you and we say keep tuned to Family TV.